Another one of the ridiculous statements that Powell made had to do with the unsustainable fiscal path that the U.S. is on, because one of the senators asked Powell if the Fed considered the impact of higher interest rates on the federal budget. Given the fact that we have $30 trillion in debt, when he raises interest rates, the cost to the government of servicing that debt is going to go up, right? So the senator asked Powell if the Fed factored that into its policy, and Powell said no. Powell said they don't even think about the unsustainable fiscal path. They don't even measure it. They don't model it as if this is happening in a vacuum, which has to be a lie. I mean, how can the Fed possibly not consider the impact of rising interest rates on the U.S. government? When it's obviously the elephant in the room, they're going to think about that elephant. But not only did Powell say that the Fed never even considers it, it doesn't even matter about it. If you combine that with the commitment to do whatever it takes to fight inflation, and if they're not even going to consider the impact of that fight on the federal government, which is the world's biggest debtor and which has the most to lose if interest rates go way up to fight inflation. But not only did Powell make that ridiculous statement, he also followed up by saying, yes, we're on an unsustainable fiscal path, but now is not the time to do something about it. He said the time to do something about the fiscal problems is when the economy is strong. But of course, earlier during his testimony, he not only said the economy was strong, he said it's very strong. Well, which is it? Now is not the time to deal with our fiscal problems because we have to wait until we have a strong economy, when according to Powell, the economy is not only strong right now, it's very strong. If the economy is very strong, then why don't we deal with the fiscal problems now? The truth is, we can never deal with the fiscal problems because then the economy won't be strong because it's a bubble. And it's only a bubble because we're not dealing with the fiscal problems. In fact, it's making the fiscal problem bigger. It's blowing more air into the bubble. It's going deeper and deeper into debt. That is the reason that we have this phony recovery. And in fact, when they were talking about how strong the economy was under Trump, and Trump was talking about we have the strongest economy in the history of the world, you didn't hear Powell telling Congress at that time, hey, we've got a strong economy, let's start addressing the fiscal imbalances and the unsustainable path that we're on. No, and in fact, Powell stated on multiple occasions that the reason we don't have to worry in the short run about the unsustainable path that we're on is because interest rates are really low. Well, now he's saying that he might raise interest rates dramatically like Paul Volcker if that's what it takes to fight inflation, yet ignoring the impact that would have on the unsustainable fiscal position of the U.S. government when he's already acknowledged that the only reason it's sustainable now is because we have low interest rates, and he may have to remove those low interest rates to fight inflation. The only way they're going to bring down inflation and restore price stability is to crash the economy. One of the senators asked Powell if he was willing to do whatever it takes, like Paul Volcker, to bring down inflation. Will you do whatever it takes? And Powell basically said, yes, we will do whatever it takes, which obviously is not the case, because if the Fed was willing to do whatever it takes, it would have already done it. There is no reason to have allowed inflation to get this bad. In fact, there's no reason for rates to still be at zero. There's no reason for the Fed's balance sheet to still be expanding if the Fed was actually going to do whatever it took. In fact, if the investors believed that Powell was going to do whatever it takes to bring down inflation, the stock market would have crashed. The bond market would have crashed. In fact, one of the questions that Powell got was how he was going to fight inflation without harming the economy or causing a recession. Now, the real answer would have been, I can't. If we're going to fight inflation, we're going to have a recession. There's just no way around it. We're going to have to raise interest rates substantially. We're going to have to cut down on the growth of the money supply. And the entire recovery that we had, the economy was built on cheap money. So if we're going to take that cheap money away, which we need to do, then the entire economy that was built on top of it is going to come collapsing down. So no, we can't fight inflation without hurting the economy, right? We had a horrible recession under Paul Volcker when interest rates went up. But what Powell told Congress was, hey, don't worry. I'm going to raise interest rates. We're going to shrink the balance sheet, but we're going to do it with care. We're going to be careful and make sure that nothing that we're doing harms the economy. Well, that is impossible. So the only way that Powell can raise interest rates with care and shrink the balance sheet with care without harming the economy is to immediately stop the rate hikes or maybe reverse them as soon as that harm is obvious. That's the only way to do it, because you can't do it with care. It is impossible. But nobody in Congress or nobody at the Federal Reserve wants to tell the truth. Yes, there is some medicine that we've got to swallow, but it tastes bad. They all want to pretend that, oh, it's going to taste great. Yes, we're going to get rid of inflation, but don't worry, this medicine is delicious. It's not. And the only way we're not going to taste this bitter medicine is if we don't swallow it. And that's basically what Powell was saying. Powell's assurance that when it comes to raising interest rate and shrinking the balance sheet, that the Fed will exercise care to make sure that neither of those policies hurts the economy, that is completely inconsistent with his pledge to do whatever it takes to fight inflation, that he's willing to do it Paul Volcker style, because those two statements are mutually exclusive. Because if you are committed to doing whatever it takes to fight inflation, then you can't exercise care not to hurt the economy, because doing whatever it takes means you're willing to hurt the economy. You're willing to crash the financial markets if that's what's required to fight inflation, which means one of those two statements has to be a lie, because they can't both be true. And as far as I'm concerned, my money's on the fact that his commitment to doing whatever it takes, that's what's not true. Because I think the minute Powell senses that what he's doing is really hurting the economy or the financial markets, then he will be careful. He will reverse course and allow inflation to get worse, because the Fed is going to have to pick its poison, and I already know the poison it's going to pick.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information, and it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.